During the winter solstice, the Sarkophon Delves sent a delegate named Johan van Basten to participate in the Liberty Pact summit. While the nation committed to end slavery and were an active participant in the discussions, the Delves chose not to sign the pact once it had been drawn up. Over the last several months, however, representatives of the various Beddallah Huspas have sent emissaries to the empire with proposals intended to forge stronger trading ties between the people of the Delves and their imperial neighbours to the north. The Sarkophon Delves had made the slave trade illegal in their nation and for their citizens. The Sarkophon do not use slaves themselves. For a society dedicated to the pursuit of wealth, they are uncharacteristically squeamish when it comes to buying and selling thinking beings. A handful of families dealt in slaves, but they were barely tolerated by their peers. Shortly after the winter solstice, that toleration comes to an abrupt end. The Beddallah Huispas of Sarkophon meet at the great table in the banquet hall atop the Palace of Beggars each month. In between courses, they make decisions that affect the entire nation. The priests who oversee the feast and serve as an unofficial civil service announce their infrequent decrees. After the solstice, they announce the decree that the trading of slaves is an unacceptable act for any Sarkophon, and furthermore that the practice will be a crime in the Delves. It is very rare for the Beddallah Huispas to make such a decree, but it carries down with it the force of law. Anyone found to be breaking this law will forfeit all of their assets and be cast down, given over to the soul weavers to be made into one of the Onglukig. Even the Beddallah Huispas are not immune. A beggar landlord caught supporting the slave trade will forfeit their seat at the great table with potentially ruinous consequences for their entire family. The rulers of Sarkophon do not make such decrees lightly. The immediate response is subdued. With the single turning of the moon to divest themselves of any connection to the slave trade, a number of Sarkophon quit the Delves, heading for Asavea and Yarm. Others, many already in the process of transitioning to new markets, simply unload their slaves as a loss. The remainder take a hit to their finances and free their former property at whichever dock they were moored when news of the decree reached them. There is surprisingly little disruption to the day-to-day lives of the people of the Delves. For a time, the labour market is glutted with former slaves. Those few families so mired in slavery that they quit the Delves rather than face ruin are replaced by ambitious successors. While they're not signatories to the Liberty Pact, within a season the Sarkophon Delves stand beside the Empire, the Sumer Republic, the Commonwealth, and even Axos as a nation where trade of slaves is not permitted. The Krudenkenner are a powerful guild of herbalists and apothecaries from the Delves. They sponsored the Krudenkenner Magazijn in Crown's Quay, overseen by the Krudenkenner Trademaster. Otje Duesenberg is the nominal head of the Krudenkenner presence in the Empire. A skilled apothecary and wily businesswoman, she's drawn up two proposals for the Imperial Senate to consider. The first is an ongoing opportunity to build warehouses in various nations. That would allow the opportunity to purchase large amounts of an individual herb. The second involves an extension to the existing Krudenkenner Magazijn that would support the trade of herbs with certain key imperial title holders. This opportunity will be lost at the end of the spring equinox, however. The Krudenkenner Magazijn serves as a base of operations for the Guild of Sarkophon Herbalists. While the Trademaster claims their bounty of cerulean mazarin, the herbalists themselves pursue their own trades within imperial borders, buying and selling herbs, potions, and drugs in Highgard and across much of the southern empire. For several seasons, the Krudenkenner are keen to expand their operation to other parts of the empire, but they are prepared to wait on the empire's interest only for so long. The opportunity to build one or more of their warehouse enclaves will expire at the end of the spring equinox. The Krudenkenner are also exploring the opportunity to invest in imperial herb markets. The Senate could expand the Krudenkenner Magazijn at Crown's Quay and secure additional opportunities for the High Herbalist of Sibella, Master of the Clearinghouse, and Vizier of the Incarnadine Satchel. And Krudenkenner Trademaster Otje Duesenberg is interested in seeing the Krudenkenner enter into a loose partnership with the High Herbalist of Sibella, the Master of the Clearinghouse in Desato, and the Vizier of the Incarnadine Satchel in Feroz. In each case, the Krudenkenner would provide additional herbs at bargain prices. In return, they'd need some assistance in expanding their premises at Crown's Quay. The purchase price in herbs would be as follows. 7 crowns would purchase 16 random herbs, 17 would purchase 33 random herbs, and 35 crowns would purchase 50 random herbs. Accepting the Cruden offer requires a Senate motion. A bearer of an imperial wayleave cannot alter an existing commission. The expansion would require 24 wains of weirwood, 48 crowns, and take 3 months to complete. Once it's finished, the High Herbalist of Sibella, the Apothecary Clearinghouse in Tasato, the Vizier of the Incardine Satchel Offices in Morigiasi, and the Cruden magazine itself would all benefit. Each title would gain an additional purchase track alongside their existing opportunities to buy herbs. This additional track would remain available for as long as the Empire's good relations with the Cruden and the Delves continued. This opportunity remains available until the end of the autumn equinox. If construction on the expansion has not begun by the start of the winter solstice, the opportunity will be considered to have lapsed. The up-and-coming Gullit family proposed the construction of docks to handle both white granite and weirwood at Siroc on the Brass Coast. With the creation of the Liberty Pact, the Gullit family of Sarkophon predict that the Cava Bianca dock in Carakamari and the Palace docks in Cargo may become unusable by the Empire due to the increase in prices associated with these new tariffs. They can't match the quantities of material provided by the Assavean, Heraclean and Ragnabi families, or by the Jarmish magician prince of Punau Principality, but they surmise that the Empire might be interested in securing white granite and weirwood at reasonable prices from Sarkophon merchants. With that in mind, they propose an arrangement in which the Gullit ships bring both white granite and weirwood to the Empire for sale. This would, as usual, require reinforced docks and secure warehouses, and with an eye towards safety, they propose Siroc as the location of their new enterprise, which they have rather prosaically christened the Gullit Docks. The Gullit are newcomers to the great table of Sarkophon politics. While their traders have made regular visits to the Empire for several years, they have recently increased in prestige following a vicious takeover of assets, left behind by one of the slaving families that quit the Dells for Asavea. They are enthusiastic entrepreneurs, seeking an opportunity for further profits. The Gullit are busy establishing their position in Sarkophon politics, but are working with the Beddalar Hubus Anarchy, the trade advisor to the Delves. Any communication relating to this opportunity should go through her. Constructing those docks would require a Senate motion, or the use of an imperial wayleave, a commission, 30 wains of weirwood, 20 wains of white granite, and 100 crowns in labour. It would take 3 months to complete, and it would create an imperial title. Trademaster of the Gullit Docks, most likely. The well-worn path would be to appoint this title through the imperial bourse, but it could be either imperial or national in nature. The title holder would be able to purchase both white granite and weirwood from the Gullit. Whilst the amounts of both would be initially small, if the docks prove profitable to the Sarkophon merchants, there may be an opportunity to negotiate an increase. The Gullit are keen to establish themselves. If they are to survive in the shark pool that is the Great Feast, they will need to begin showing a profit very soon. As such, this opportunity is available only until the end of the summer solstice 383, and if work on the docks is not completed by the start of winter 383, the Gullit will have to look elsewhere. Johan van Basten has arranged a one-off opportunity to purchase 100 white granite from the Sarkophon Gelves for 500 thrones. Johan van Basten journeyed to Anvil as the Sarkophon Delves' delegate to the Liberty Pact summit. Following discussions with the Master of the Imperial Mint, Lieselotte van Holberg, and the ambassador to the Sarkophon Delves, Thanmir Grafen, he has arranged the sale of 100 wains of white granite to the Empire as a bulk one-off deal. The price to purchase, again, would be 500 thrones. The opportunity is a limited one. Even the wealthy Van Basten family can't afford to sit on such a stockpile of white granite for so long. If the Empire hasn't taken advantage of the opportunity by the start of the autumn equinox, then, regretfully, the Van Bastens will need to find other markets for their white granite. 2 potent Beddalar Husbas, the leaders of the Vandasar and the Dippenbeek, have laid proposals before the Imperial Senate that would involve transforming certain ruined locations into trading enclaves. Both require that the Senate concede control of these locations to the Sarkophon Delves, but each proposal provides very different benefits. The Vandasar proposal involves building an enclave in the Southern Empire on the ruined Aliveti estates of Sarvos. The Diepenbeek plan, by contrast, involves rejuvenating the ruins of Isember in Karsk. These opportunities are not exclusive, though. Both could be approved by the Senate to allow the Sarkophon an enclave in the north and the south. The Van der Sar proposed the Senate concede the ruined Alevetti Guild estates in Savos to their consortium so that they might build a Sarkophon enclave on it. Benefits include additional ilium for the steel fist, the permanent opportunity for business owners to gain herbs through diversification, and improved profit for imperial traders visiting the delves. The Alevetti Guild estates lie along the coast of the city of Savos, on the outskirts of the district of Karakamari. They were once the home of the Alevetti, a powerful League guild whose most famous recent scion was most likely Empress Giselle. The estates were ruined by a storm that devastated Karakamari during the rebuilding of the district in 378. The waterlogged ruins were largely left to their own devices. Much of the old estate is now a swampy marsh, haunted by mosquitoes and vicious frogs. This makes them ideal for the purposes of the Bed de la Huisbus Edwin of the Van der Sar family. He represents a loose alliance of some of the richest families in the Sarkophon delves. They are keen to establish closer trading ties with their nearest neighbours, and the recent resolution of the Liberty Pact has convinced them that now is the time to strike. They want the Imperial Senate to concede control of the Alevetti estates to the Sarkophon delves. The Sarkophon are masters at reclaiming and building in marshes and swamps. They will clear the ruins and reclaim as much of the estates as possible, then construct a dock, warehouses and residences in the Sarkophon style, transforming it from marshy ruins to a home away from home for Sarkophon captains and merchants. It will serve as a stopping-off point for traders from the south, as well as a place imperial merchants can visit to speak with Sarkophon captains. Edwin doesn't expect the Empire to simply give the estates to the delves. As soon as the Imperial Senate passes the motion of concedence, the consortium he represents will increase the amount of ilium provided to the Steel Fist by half again. Another 4 rings each season, bringing the total bounty to 12. This increase will continue as long as the Empire remains on good terms with the Sarkophon delves, or until the Imperial Senate abrogates their concedence. In the event that the Empire wishes to end the agreement, however, Van der Sar and his fellows will expect a suitable payment in recognition of their investment in Alevetti. The Van der Sar are a well-established and powerful family of the Delves who trace their roots back to the first settlers in the ruined city of Sarkophon. They already have extensive trade interests in the Empire, including the sale of weirwood at the Concordium dock. Edwin Van der Sar requests that any correspondence relating to his plan go through Bed de la Huisbus Anarchy, the trade advisor to the Delves. The presence of a Sarkophon enclave of this size on the southern coast of the Empire will also offer an advantage to imperial business owners. They will gain the ability to diversify their resource to gain an income of herbs, as well as money following the normal rules, an investment of 1 throne which will reduce the production of the resource by 36 rings and replace the money with 2 herbs of the character's choosing. Finally, the enclave will significantly improve the confidence of Sarkophon merchants, both by those visiting the Empire and those at home in the Delves, which imperial citizens are people with whom they can do business. Every imperial ship's captain visiting Sarkophon will gain an additional dose of marrowwort and an additional dose of imperial roseweald each season. The Van der Sar are prepared to give the Empire some time to consider their proposal, but if the Senate has not acted by the end of the summer solstice 383, the offer will be withdrawn, and they will look elsewhere. Bed de la Huisbus Edwin requests that any official correspondence regarding the proposition go via anarchy. There is only one significant structure still present in the Alevetti estates, the broken tomb of Empress Giselle. Broken open by the Grendel during the sack of Savos, the body of Empress Giselle was recovered and now rests in Temeshoir. The initial intention of the Van der Sar is to clear the tomb along with the other ruins, but they have suggested if the concedent motion requests them to leave the tomb intact, they are prepared to work around it and rather than destroy the landmark. The Diepenbeek propose the Senate concede the ruins of Isember in Karsk to them so that they may build a Sarkophon trading enclave on it. Benefits include additional options for the members of the Northern Trade Network, and a new option for independent captains prepared to protect Sarkophon caravans in the dangerous Northern Empire. Merchants from Sarkophon already have a presence in Varushka. Traders from the Delves who are prepared to risk the perilous journey find a ready welcome at the Sarkophon mooring in Iversgard. Here they trade herbs and occasionally more exotic substances for Varushkan lumber, fur and ambergelt. The Diepenbeek family are keen to build on the opportunity presented by Iversgard and have an ambitious proposal for the Empire. They wish to lease the ruins of Izember from the Empire. Unlike the Gullet, the Diepenbeek have a place at the Great Table, but they're not quite as wealthy and influential as the Vandazar. They are known in the Delves for the diversity of their business interests, prepared to take on any job that promises a clear profit. Their employees clear ruined tombs for valuable relics, sell fine welt silver and imperial roseweald, and have a reputation for skill in the arts of autumn magic. The Diepenbeek have requested that any correspondence relating to their proposals regarding Izember are sent via Bedelar Hispus Anarchy, the trade advisor to the Delves. Izember was destroyed during the war with the Thule. Even before its destruction, it had a reputation for lawlessness. The folk of the Vale betrayed their people and sided with orc invaders. Their treachery attracted criminals, exiles, and heretics from across the north, drawing the ire of the heroes at Anvil and ultimately leading to their downfall. Nobody lives there now. Since the death of Vesna Kovac at the beginning of last year, even the Sovereign's Heart Inn has closed its doors. The ruins have been quickly reclaimed by the forest, and there's talk of wolves lairing in the cellars of the broken buildings. Traders prefer to go to Iversgard rather than risk the haunted woods. The Diepenbeek plan is straightforward enough. They wish the Imperial Senate to concede Izember with a suitably worded Senate motion. They will take custody of the land and build a trading enclave there. Their ships will continue to use the docks at Iversgard. Izember has limited access to the Semelak, but for as long as they maintain the lease of the land, it will be considered part of the Sarkophon Delves. In return, they'll clear the ruins, and any monsters there that might have taken up residence, and rebuild the town. Once the area is cleared, the Diepenbeek will ensure the immediate area is kept clear of wolves and bandits in cooperation with the boyars of the local vales. Indeed, they anticipate seeking the assistance of the people of Lestasny to ensure that they don't inadvertently transgress any of the unwritten laws that allow mortals to prosper in the dark hills and forests of Varushka. The building will take a little time. They anticipate 6 months once permission is obtained, but it will cost the Empire nothing and won't require a commission. Once complete, Izember will be reborn as a Sarkophon settlement in the far north, overseen by the Diepenbeek. This will allow them to trade with the northern nations, the rest of Varushka, with the Imperial Orcs in Skarsind, and with the League in Temeshwar. Also with the Navarre in Hesidia, the Winterfolk at Kalperheim, and the Thule at Krevsati in Urdur. First, the Sarkophons will need to clear the runs of wolves and bandits. They anticipate that this will be a significant undertaking, but are prepared to pay Imperial mercenaries to help them deal with the wolves and bandits. The immediate effect will be the creation of a one-off opportunity in the following season for Imperial captains to help secure Izember. The Diepenbeek will pay well in money, herbs, and metal. The Northern Trade Network will be able to deal directly with Sarkophon traders based at Izember. This will give the bone setter of the Torfast trading post, the broker of the Treji Way House, the overseer of the Westward Road, the northbound trade master, and, once work on the trade hall is complete, the Kalperheim trade holder, access to an additional purchase tract for their ministry representing bargains offered by Sarkophon merchants. The paid work alternative would provide a standard military unit with 12 rings, 3 imperial roseweald, 3 welt silver, 2 random herbs, and 1 random forest or mine resource each season. Once the rebuilding is complete, Sarkophon traders will continue to employ imperial mercenaries to protect their caravans in the dangerous wilderness of the north. The option to guard Sarkophon caravans will be added to the paid work drop-down for the imperial military commanders. Rather than providing the usual production, this option would guarantee a set return dependent on their rank. The opportunity would remain for as long as the Diepenbeek controlled Izember and the Empire maintained good relations with the Sarkophon Delves. Finally, if the Senate wishes, the Diepenbeek are prepared to restore the Sovereign's Heart Inn as part of their rebuilding programme and then lease it to a Varushkan landlord. This landlord would also serve as a point of contact for the Diepenbeek if there were any local problems that were not worth bothering the ambassador to the Sarkophon Delves with. This would create an imperial title, with tenure, which means they serve until they've died or stepped down, appointed by the mine and forest owners of Varushka. They'd initially receive an income of 11 crowns each season, but might be able to gain other benefits, depending on how the settlement of Izember proceeds. Alternatively, the Senate may choose to state in their motion of concedence that they don't want the Sarkophon to do this, in which case the inn will be demolished along with the rest of the ruins. The Diepenbeek are already trading with the people of Karsk and are prepared to give the Empire time to consider their proposal. If the Senate has not acted by the end of the autumn equinox 383, however, they will make other arrangements. They request that any official correspondence regarding the plan for Izember go via Bedelar Huispus Anarchy. Conceding either the Alavetti estates or the ruins of Izember to the Sarcophandales would function in a similar manner to conceding an imperial commission. The estates and ruins could be seen as representing follies in a legal sense. The Sarcophan will claim the land and begin to build their enclaves on them. Neither Izember nor Alavetti have any current imperial population. The Sovereign's Hut Inn in Izember is effectively defunct since the death of its owner and has fallen into disrepair. One of the advantages from the Sarcophon point of view to having land conceded to them is that they won't need to concern themselves with the Empire's laws regarding construction. They will be free to build without requiring Senate motions for every significant structure. This does mean that the Empire will have no oversight on what they construct in the land that has been ceded to them. While they maintain that they wish to build warehouses and docks in the Empire, no legal recourse would happen in the event that they chose to build, for example, a heretical temple. It is important to understand, however, that concedence asserts the legal will of the Empire to give up all control in the affected area. It is categorically not possible to see control of something but retain any element of control over it under any circumstances. Attempts to restrict what the Sarcophon can do with the land in question would neither meet the requirements of the concedent's power itself nor the terms of the opportunities. Senate could abrogate their concedence at a later date, but doing so could lead to significant diplomatic repercussions if it were done without the cooperation of the Sarcophon Delves. The opportunity to commission Cruden Kenner warehouses expires at the end of the spring equinox. The opportunity to expand the existing warehouse expires at the end of the autumn equinox. Work on the extension must have begun by the start of the winter solstice. The Gulet opportunity to build a dock at Sirach is only available until the end of the summer solstice 383. If work on the docks is not completed by the start of winter 383, the Gulet will have to look elsewhere. The Van Basten trade, offering the purchase of 100 wains of white granite, is only available until the start of the autumn equinox summit. The proposal regarding the Alavetti estates expires at the end of the summer solstice. The plan regarding Izember expires at the end of the autumn equinox.